guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Urvi if you're new, and thank you for stopping by. Today's video is super exciting because I'm doing an updated apartment hunt. I have done about 4 of these videos before and they have been the most seen videos on my channel, and you guys seem to really enjoy them. But the last time I did one of those videos, there were a lot of COVID deals on apartments in New York City, and a lot of apartments were way below their market value. But guess what? In the last 6+ months, all of those people that got COVID deals are being priced out of their apartments. New York City rents are at an all-time high. They have never been so high before. Honestly, it's a little bit shocking how much people are charging for like studio and 1-bedroom apartments right now. And so I thought of doing an updated apartment hunting video. I saw most of these apartments in December and January, so all of these prices are pretty current. I am not moving this year, thank you God. I got a really good COVID deal, but I was able to get a 2-year lease for my deal, and so I got really lucky. The goal for me doing this updated apartment hunting video is actually just to show you that it is still possible to find decent to good apartments at a good price point compared to the rest of the New York City market. So if you're a single person, if you're a student, if you're a young professional looking for a studio or 1-bedroom, looking to live out on your own, I want to show you that it is still possible. It might take some time, so you may need some patience with apartment hunting, but it is definitely doable. I looked at 10 apartments in Manhattan within a pretty conservative price range of $1,800 to $2,200. I also made sure that I wasn't looking at any like dingy, unlivable apartments with a slanted floor, with like a missing door. If you've looked into New York City apartments, you know that is a very real possibility. The first 3 apartments that I saw were part of 3 different buildings in the same like leasing office that manages about 10 to 15 apartment buildings in the same area. These were all listed as studios, but they did have a separation between the living area and the sleeping area, and they were between $1,800 to $1,900. This first apartment was a 5th floor walk-up, and as soon as I walked in, I really liked it because it had a huge window, and because it was a 5th floor walk-up, it had lots of light. I also thought the layout was pretty spacious. It had a windowed kitchen, lots of closets and storage space, and the highlight was the windowed bathroom. I loved it. It was so nice. It is so rare to find a windowed bathroom in New York City. It also had a separate eat-in kitchen, also windowed, which I really loved. Next up was a 4th floor walk-up in the same building, and this also had pretty decent light. The layout was almost the same as the other one, except that the bathroom had a smaller window in this, but again it had a separate kitchen with a window. The storage was pretty comparable to the last apartment. Last apartment that I saw was also part of the same management company, but this was my least favorite layout because here the kitchen was basically part of the living area, which I always find like a weird thing, and the bedroom also felt a little bit narrower here. This was on the 2nd floor, and so light was also an issue. It was kind of dark, and then the bathroom still had a window, but overall out of the 3, the first one was definitely my favorite. These apartments had a shared laundry, so between I think 5 buildings they had like a shared laundry area for the residents of those buildings. And then the highlight was also that your rent actually included everything, including heat, hot water, and electricity. In New York, you get heat and hot water, which is included with your rent almost always, but there was also electricity included in these apartments, and all of these buildings were rent stabilized. It is so hard to find good rent stabilized building in New York City, but these I think were a really good find. Rent stabilization just basically means that once your lease ends, your landlords cannot price you out because there's a law saying a rent stabilized apartment building's rent can only go up by a very small percentage year to year, and so you're saving yourself from having to move literally every single year in the city. I'm going to leave all of the building addresses or leasing office information down in the description box, so definitely check that out. The only con I could think about for these apartments, some of them were kind of dark because they were on a lower floor. I also thought that it was like way down on York Avenue, so it was like a 15-minute walk from the train, which is not ideal when it's winter, it's snowing outside, it gets a little bit tough, but you know, you win some, you lose some. The next building was also on the Upper East Side, pretty similar situation to the first one. I saw 2 apartments in the same building. The first apartment here that I saw was again a 5th floor walk-up, but I really liked this one because it did have city views and a separate eat-in kitchen. As you can see, it also had a pretty spacious bathroom with a rain shower, which I don't see in like older walk-up buildings usually, and also had storage in the bathroom and a separate bedroom with a closet in it. So overall, pretty good layout. This apartment was about $19.50, but I think they had 1 month free on like an 18-month lease. I also saw another apartment in the same building on the 4th floor. And I liked the second one a little bit less because it was on a lower floor, so definitely didn't have the city views that the previous one had. But other than that, the layout was very comparable, except in the second one, the bedroom was slightly narrow, so I think it would only fit like a twin XL to a full-size bed, and the closet wasn't completed in the living area, but other than that, it was pretty comparable to the first one. So pros for me in this building, again, pretty good rent, and these were also accessible and about a 10-minute walk from the train. And in terms of cons, I felt like this was definitely one of those situations where they put a wall in between a living room to convert it into a living and bedroom, which kind of made both the rooms narrower, and it just kind of felt like you were boxed in a little bit. And again, these were 4th and 5th floor walk-ups, so that does get difficult sometimes, especially if you have like a lot of packages and things and you have to go up and down for laundry and things like that. So this next apartment was also on the Upper East Side. It was in definitely the upper East Side, like East 96th Street, but it was by far the largest studio I'd seen for that price. It was $21.50, and the landlord was willing to do a month free on a 24-month lease. As you can see, it's pretty huge and has a very open layout with 4 really big windows letting in a lot of light, which was my favorite part. It also had good closet space, a pretty good sized bathroom. Usually New York City bathrooms are like really small. This one had a lot of space, so if you wanted to add like additional storage, there was definitely space for that. For me, the cons for this apartment were that the kitchen didn't have any counter space, so you would definitely have to add like a kitchen island or something to work on if you like to cook a lot. If not, I don't think that would be an issue at all. The other con was that this was above a restaurant, and in New York City I've heard that if you live above a restaurant, sometimes there's a chance of having roaches in your apartment, which I asked the broker, and she said that they have never had an issue like that, and she could show me pest control certificates and things like that. So there was actually a Chinese takeout restaurant under this apartment, and sometimes if you live above a restaurant, things can get loud, but I think that would not be an issue with a takeout place. I did see this in the afternoon and it was very quiet. This one didn't have laundry in building, but it was literally right next to a laundromat, so pretty much like having laundry in the building. But yeah, overall, I think I really loved how much light there was in the studio and how easy the layout would be to customize to your living style or your decor style. Okay, now we're moving further down into Midtown East, which, as you may know, it is a pretty expensive area to live in. So to have found studios within the $2,200 price range in these areas is wild. The first one was located on East 40th between, I think, Lexington and Madison Avenue, which is pretty prime area. The decor was so beautiful, and this studio definitely had a lot of interest. There were a lot of people coming to see it when I was there, and it was listed at $21.95. It was a co-op building, which means there's always extra fees with moving, with applications, just something you can look into before you decide to go with a co-op. But the apartment itself was pretty cute. It had arched doorways, which you don't usually see. The living area was pretty small, which I expected. And then there was also no light in this apartment because it faced the back of the building. The bathroom here was so modern and so beautiful. The kitchen was updated, so it was overall a very beautiful apartment. It could be rented furnished or unfurnished depending on what you wanted. It also had a small dressing area. For me, the con here is the Murphy bed. I hate Murphy beds. Even if you don't plan on using them, they have to stay in the apartment. You cannot get rid of them. Also, there was barely any space for a real bed. And if you choose to have like a small bedroom area, that would make this apartment very cramped because it was barely like, I don't know, like 400 square feet, I want to say. This was a doorman elevator building, and there was also laundry in building. So overall, pretty great. Okay, so my camera died on me, but I'm back. The next apartment, which is apartment number 8, was also in Midtown East in this area called Tudor City. Again, this was a doorman elevator building, which was pretty like 1900s classic looking. Felt like I was stepping into a movie set from the 1900s. But the thing about this building that I read online was that it used to be a chain of hotels which was converted into apartment buildings, which is crazy because you're literally converting like hotel rooms into a full like home that someone would live in. But let's get into the tour. All right, so the apartment was pretty small, as you can see, because it was a hotel bedroom. What I did like was it had a custom walk-in closet, like a custom built-out closet. That Murphy bed again just like turned me off from the get-go. It also did not have a full stovetop or a full refrigerator, and the bathroom was kind of old and not really well maintained. I don't know if they were in the process of cleaning it, but it just didn't look appealing on that day. The pros were definitely the closet and that beautiful view out the window. This was on a higher floor, so that full Manhattan view. So again, one of those situations where you have to weigh your pros and cons. I don't know if I said the rent for this one already, but it was listed at $2,000, so not bad for the prime location that it was in. It just wasn't worth it for me for the lack of space. The last two apartments that I'm featuring in this video were by far the most popular apartments. They literally rented the same day they were listed. Apartment number 9 was on East 29th Street, literally 5 minutes walk from Trader Joe's, which if you live in New York City, you know that's a huge pro. It was a co-op building. This studio was first listed at $1,800, and there was so much interest that when I went to view this apartment, there was a line like almost down half the block, and that's how many people were viewing this apartment the first day that it was listed. And because of the interest in the apartment, when I walked in, the broker informed me that the landlord had decided to go up on the rent, and so the rent actually from $1,800 would be $1,945, but still under $2,000. The studio was pretty spacious, I would say. The kitchen was really small, and lack of counter space was not my favorite because I do cook, but there was really nice light in this apartment. The living / bedroom area was pretty spacious, so you could have a queen bed and still have space for an actual living room setup. And then the closet was a good size as well. What I found weird is that it didn't have a door, it just had a curtain. According to the broker, the bathroom was also updated in this apartment. Overall, honestly, this one was my favorite of the lot. I think overall, for the location, for the space, for the price, even though they did go up slightly, this was a really good find. This was also a doorman elevator building with laundry in the building as well. So the pros definitely outweighed the cons. The cons were not too many for me. It was just a weird like closet door missing. The rent increasing. $1,800 was a really good price for this one, maybe too good to be true. And then the last con was that this was a co-op. Of course, this apartment rented the same day. So if you find something like this and you know that it's a good apartment and you want to apply for it, I would say literally walk in to your appointment with your application documents already in place, so you can immediately apply post seeing the apartment. And it's not uncommon that 4 or 5 people will sometimes apply for the same apartment. At that point, it all depends on the landlord, and they will check your like background, your credit score, your savings, things like that, and then decide if you get it or not. The last apartment, number 10, was another studio located in Hell's Kitchen on West 50th Street. This was a large studio with a separate eat-in kitchen and a really good sized bathroom, and the highlight was that this had in-unit washer and dryer, which is unheard of in New York City for this price. The apartment was listed at $1995, so $2,000. Someone was living here at this time, and as you can see, they didn't do a really good job of decorating, or maybe they were moving out, but the living area was pretty spacious and could be made to look really cute. A good amount of light. It had a white brick wall, had washer dryer in unit, a kitchen with new appliances, and then also a pretty good sized bathroom, like I said. The living area here also had overhead storage. The only con for me was that this apartment didn't have any closet except that small coat closet in the living area, which for the amount of clothes I have would definitely not be enough. But if you're someone that can probably get a closet from like IKEA and make it work, this was a really good apartment, really great price. Also rented the same evening that I viewed this apartment. So again, to reinforce, always be prepared for when units like this come in the market. It happens once every 3 to 4 months. It's pretty rare. Okay, so that was the end of my apartment hunting, apartment tour video. It's very, very possible to live on a budget in Manhattan as a single person if you just have enough patience. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!